So the college basketball season is over with Kansas defeating UNC on Monday night. So now we know pretty much everything about these NBA draft prospects' college careers. And I'm going to be giving you guys my 2022 post-NCAA season mock draft. So I'm going to be going through the full first round of this mock draft. This is going to be on the Fanspo website. It's definitely the best website for creating your own mock drafts. Link to this will be in the description below, and I'll be pretty much going through each team and thinking who they would take. It's pretty much with the updated standings as of April 6th around 2 o'clock, and then with the Rockets, with the Magic, with the Pistons, a lot will interchange maybe throughout this last week of the season, especially with the play-in tournament coming up as well. We don't know who's in the playoffs fully and who isn't. So if you guys enjoy these and want to see more mock drafts on the channel, drop a thumbs up. And without further ado, we can get right into this. So to start off this draft, the Houston Rockets, man. I still don't know who's going number one overall. And I bounce back and forth every day. Is it Chet? Is it Jabari? Is it Paolo? I don't think Ivy will go number one. But I think the Rockets would take Chet. You have Chet, you have Şengün. This could also end up in a Christian Wood trade down the line. He gives you a good rim protector, and he's somebody that maybe will develop a good shot in the NBA as well. And I think he's the front runner to go number one overall. So this is what I think these teams would do, not what I would do. So if you guys want to see maybe a mock draft where I'm the GM of every team and I would make these decisions, just drop a thumbs up. And let me know if you like the team's pick that I made or I had your team select down below. And yeah, this is by far the best draft website. You get the depth chart, you get the salary cap, the roster, you can even write your own analysis for the picks as well. So next up, we have the Orlando Magic, who have a plethora of bigs. I mean, Mo Bamba's a free agent. Wendell Carter Jr. could kind of be a 4 or 5, depending if that 5 can shoot. Isaac hasn't played in almost in over 2 years. And I think Jaden Ivey, while he would be fun on this team, I don't think they should take another guard. You have Suggs, you have Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton, and I think you should stay away. So I think you take one of these bigs, and that comes down between either Paolo Banchero or Jabari Smith. And I'm going to have them select Jabari Smith. Yes, I think Jabari Smith out of Auburn. I think the thing with him is, can he be able to create his own shot in the NBA, or is he going to be more of a pick and roll guy, or you're going to have to run a lot of plays and sets for him? We will see. Now, number 3, I think Detroit. This is where it gets interesting because I think with Cade Cunningham as your 1, oh my God, him and Jaden Ivey in that backcourt would be phenomenal. And I think they have Jeremy Grant. I mean, you have Saddiq Bey, you have Isaiah Stewart. Banchero could make sense there at the 5. If they still think maybe Killian Hayes could be that long-term too, but I don't think so. So I honestly like Ivy here. I do. I think they would. I think Ivy's going to get a lot of pre-draft hype. And I think Banchero, I mean, he's interesting because I feel like any other year he could be the number 1 pick and everyone would think he would be. But there's maybe defensive concerns. Is there lack of I guess not motivation, but drive and hustle out there sometimes. And maybe it was just kind of that Duke team as a whole. But he was a true freshman and was one of the best players in the country. So I think there's a great case for Banchero even at the number 1 pick. But I think Detroit, they would be, I think, set up very nicely over the next 5 to 10 years with the backcourt of Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham. Ivy went to school in Purdue. It's close to Detroit. Not really, but it's at least in that region of the country. I don't know where Jaden Ivey's from, but hey, could make sense. And this and then OKC at 4. They take Paolo Banchero. So this is pretty much the consensus top 4. I don't think anybody else will slide in unless one of these players drops and we see a Johnny Davis or Keegan Murray shoot up, but I don't think so at the moment. But last year we all thought Kuminga was a consensus top 5 pick, or Jalen Suggs was a consensus top 4 pick. But no, Scotty Barnes jumped up in the pre-draft process. So this is pretty much what I think the top 4 is going to go. And I think for OKC, as much as Jaden Ivey could fall to them at 4 if this is where they pick, would they take Jaden Ivey? You have Giddey, you have Shea, you have Trey Mann. Lou Dort's kind of in that limbo of a 2 and a 3. I guess you would have to. There would be no reason not to take him. So maybe Keegan Murray just lights it up in pre-draft workouts, and Jaden Ivey is the player that falls. That could potentially be something. So on the clock here, we have the Indiana Pacers. Shaedon Sharpe is still, I don't know what's going on from him. Technically playing at Kentucky, could play there next year. Didn't play it all this year, but technically was there, so he has draft eligibility for 2022. I'm still up in the air with him, but I think Indiana could be a team that would be interested in Shaedon Sharpe because they're a rebuilding team. I guess their backcourt next year is Brogdon and Halliburton, and they still have Miles Turner, and they probably want to be back in the playoffs next year after this pick. So maybe they go for more of a Keegan Murray type player and somebody that you could put next to Miles Turner, a great shooter at the 4, and have a lineup of, I don't know, it could be Malcolm Brogdon, Tyrese Halliburton. You figure out your small forward position. It's Chris Duarte most likely, Keegan Murray at the 4, and then Miles Turner at the 5. Hey, that team could definitely make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Next up, we have the Portland Trailblazers, who, I mean, they have their backcourt next year in Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons if they're not moving Lillard. They kind of need wings, and I don't know like if it's smart if they're trying to still build around Damian Lillard to take Shaedon Sharpe, who hasn't played a collegiate minute yet. I think Johnny Davis could be a 3 for them, but I mean, like Josh Hart's been fine, but you have Yusuf Nurkic at your 5. It's really they need a 3 or 4, and I think like AJ Griffin is somebody that can kind of be that swingman for them that could play both positions. Now we're on the clock here with Sacramento at 7. Sacramento has pretty much in place their point guard. I don't know if they're going to ever run a Mitchell and Fox backcourt. Pretty much they need a wing, I would say. Like, that's probably what they're going with, and I think they're another team that would not take Shaedon Sharpe and maybe not take the risk on him at pick 7. I think Johnny Davis would be that guy. You could still have maybe Davion come off the bench. You still have Fox at the 1. I mean, you could run some lineups of Fox, Mitchell, Davis, Sabonis, Holmes, or something like that, which I think could definitely work out for them. Now we have the Pelicans, who are getting this pick from the LA Lakers. I'm sure when they made that Anthony Davis trade, they did not expect to be picking in the top 10. And it looks like they're going to be there because the Lakers have been eliminated from the playoffs. Crazy. Who would have thought? And I think the Pelicans, they could look at Jalen Duren. If they're not going to maybe pay Jackson Hayes this offseason, they're kind of looking to when he's a free agent down the line. I think they could also go best player available. And they're a team, like when healthy, they could take a chance on Shaedon Sharpe. And I think that's the team that should take a chance on him because you're pretty deep as it is. I mean, like you have Devontae Graham, Kyra Lewis, point guards, at least under contract right now. McCollum, and then you also have Trey Murphy. You have Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram. I guess we can just go through it right here. Jonas Valanciunas, Larry Nance, Jackson Hayes, who I mentioned, and like you got Herb Jones, who's been playing well, and you're gonna have 2 first-round picks in this draft. So I think they're a team that can take a chance on Shaedon Sharpe, and I'd like to see them maybe go after maybe a point guard as well in this class. So we'll see if I think that they'll take one then. But I think Shaedon Sharpe could be that guy for them because he doesn't need to make an immediate impact. Next up, we have the San Antonio Spurs, who are another team, I don't know, like they have their point guard, like they could look at another guard, but like you have Lonnie Walker, you have a couple wings in Devin Vassell, who's been playing well this year in his sophomore year, Doug McDermott, who you're paying a decent amount of money to, picked up Josh Richardson, obviously Keldon Johnson, you got to get Joshua Primo some more minutes next year. I think they could look at Jalen Duren. I mean, I think they're going to pay Jakob Poeltl because he's pretty good, but I think you could always use another center. I mean, like, they could look at maybe a wing that they think can play the 4. I don't know if that's Tari Eason here. I don't really know. Maybe just Jimmy Sohan. I don't know if he's going to go that high, but I think Jalen Duren would be the pick here at number 9 for the San Antonio Spurs. Now we have the Washington Wizards. They need to go a point guard 100%. They traded Spencer Dinwiddie, their best point guard on the roster right now, is Ish Smith. Yeah, they need a point guard. I think Kennedy Chandler would be that guy out of Tennessee. I think he's going to be my best point guard in this class when I do make my rankings. Now we have the New York Knicks, who I don't really know. I don't really know. They need a point guard too, but you have Derrick Rose. You have Emmanuel Quickly, point guard. He's kind of in limbo between a 1 or a 2. I want the Knicks to, if Donovan Mitchell's a free agent, boy, would I be happy if the Knicks were able to flip. Like, with the Jazz, if Mitchell was like, he wants out, the Jazz, team that's never really going to attract free agents, would they decline? I mean, this might be a Knicks bias in me. Would they decline Randall, Reddish, Quickly, and 3 first-round picks? It's a nice package, that is, for Donovan Mitchell. I don't even know, maybe Knicks fans would be like, Matt, that's way too much. But the Knicks need to go a point guard here. Maybe it's Dyson Daniels, the 6'6" man. Maybe he'll get projections to, or comparisons to Josh Giddey from last year just due to his size. So we'll have the Knicks going point guard, and I could see them being a Dyson Daniels guy. Next up, we have the Trailblazers. Okay, yeah, the Pelicans aren't picking twice because of the CJ McCollum trade. So they're a team that already has, at this moment, who did they? They already took AJ Griffin. You need more wings, 100%. I think you either go Ochai Agbaji, who's probably NBA ready, was the best player on that Kansas team, and then they could also go Benedict Mathurin, who I think has a little bit more upside. And if they can land AJ Griffin and Benedict Mathurin in this class, I would feel more comfortable about their future with Nasir Little, with Anthony Simons, with Josh Hart, somewhat younger. I like that. Next up, we have the Hornets, who, if they don't make the playoffs, it would be a little bit disappointing. I believe they'll be in the play-in tournament. Yeah. So they're a team. I think, like, they need some big man help. They do. Would Mark Williams go 13th? Maybe they take Jeremy Sochan here? Yeah, I'll have Jeremy Sochan going to the Charlotte Hornets. Next up, we have the Atlanta Hawks, who I think could just need some NBA-ready talent. Maybe somebody they could put next to Troy Young. And I think Ochai Agbaji could be the pick at the end of the lottery. Next up, we have the OKC Thunder, who have already selected one big in this draft in Paolo Banchero. I think they would end up with another one in, let me just kind of pull up my rankings here, Tari Eason, who I think will be possibly a lottery pick when it is all said and done. Now we have the Rockets. Now, they have their second first-round pick. They've already had number 1 in Chet Holmgren. Now they have the pick from the Brooklyn Nets. I think this will be a little bit later because they should be making the playoffs or maybe going further. So they could look at another point guard if they are going to move on from John Wall. Like, you have Kevin Porter Jr., who's listed as a 3 here, but it could be more of a 1. They could also go, I mean, like, they already, like, have Garuba from last year, Christian Wood, Şengün, and now Chet Holmgren. They probably would take another point guard, and that lands up to somebody that actually just declared for the draft, just got that Woj notification. Ty Washington. All right, so now we're on the clock with the Indiana Pacers at 17. And I'm going to have them select probably Malachi Branham here, the freshman out of Ohio State. That pick is from the Karis LeVert deal. It's actually kind of a nice deal for them getting 17 for LeVert. Now on the clock here at 18, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves. I like EJ Liddell here, who can maybe be that guy like him and Jaden McDaniels next to Karl-Anthony Towns and Jared Vanderbilt as that power forward spot. I think they just need to take as many power forwards as possible. They're probably a team that could also benefit from maybe another wing. Blake Wesley, possibly Blake Wesley. I don't know. Yeah, I think they would maybe go Liddell here. That's probably the pick. Next up, we have the Chicago Bulls, who desperately need some big man depth. Like, you got Vucevic, but Tony Bradley, Marco Sumito, like, yeah, it's a mess over there. This is Mark Williams all the way for them. I just wouldn't even think twice about this. Next up, we have the Spurs from the Thaddeus Young deal, and I think they're a team that could also look at maybe a international player here in Ousmane Dieng. You can also look at Nikola Jovic, and I think that would be the pick. It would be cool if the Nuggets took Nikola Jovic, obviously, because Nikola Jokic. At 21, we have the Denver Nuggets. I think they would probably take a flyer on maybe somebody with a higher upside, like a Kendall Brown, like a Patrick Baldwin, maybe like a Jaden Hardy. Maybe they look at another center back there. I don't know why Jeff Green's listed there because you got DeMarcus Cousins, but you could always have more center depth. So I think maybe I'll have them go Walker Kessler. Next up, we have the Memphis Grizzlies. This pick is, I'm assuming it's from the Mike Conley deal. And like the Grizzlies are a team that also like could go with a high upside guy like a Kendall Brown because they're so deep. They are. And like maybe this pick ends up getting traded. But yeah, I'm going to have them probably take Kendall Brown here out of Baylor. Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks. I think they would go Marjon Beauchamp there out of the G League Ignite. I think the Milwaukee Bucks stick with Milwaukee and Patrick Baldwin. Why not? Maybe that's a lazy take there. But this is pretty much how the draft has looked so far. You can pause and see some of your favorite picks. Next up, we have the San Antonio Spurs. I think they're a team that would probably, like, you got a lot of guard depth. You've already selected 2 players so far in this class in Jalen Duren and also Nikola Jovic. Yeah, why not take a flyer on Jaden Hardy, who was like a preseason projected top 10 pick. Now we have the Nets picking from the James Harden deal. I think like Wendell Moore, somebody that's a little bit more experienced coming out of college basketball or the NCAA would be good for them. Next up, we have the Golden State Warriors, and I think like this could be Christian Braun out of Kansas because maybe one Kansas player in Wiggins will be gone next year. They're going to pay Jordan Poole this offseason, and Christian Braun definitely upped his stock in the tournament. Miami, you know, they get shooters. I mean, they kind of need some big man depth here. They do, and that could be Christian Koloko. Yeah, you know what? They probably do need some big man depth. So I'm going to have them take Koloko. And then I think with the Grizzlies, I think Blake Wesley should be a first-round pick. If he isn't one, I'd be very surprised. And then finally, I think in the 30th pick, the Thunder will probably go with another guard. It would be cool if they threw in the players you drafted for them here. But yeah, the Thunder have already selected in this draft class Tari Eason. They've taken Paolo Banchero. They can go for another guard, basically. And that's going to be Gene Montero. So that is my post-2022 NCAA season mock draft. They do have to update that to 2022. Let me know if you liked the pick that I gave your team down below. Let me know if you didn't. Drop a like if you guys want more mock drafts. I love you guys. These are so much fun to do. I can't wait for draft season to like finally get into full effect. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.